Hi there, this is Michelle from HotWheelsandGlueGuns.com. Today I just wanted to share with you a fun, pretty easy tutorial for some summer earrings. The earrings that we're going to make today look like this. I saw tassel earrings like that on a website recently, and I really liked them, but they were a little bit out of my price range, and they did not come in the color. More importantly, they did not come in the color that I wanted. And I knew I'd made tassels before, so I figured I could probably make these myself at home. And once I worked it up, I thought, this would be something fun to share with blog readers. So that's what we're going to do today. You don't need, the great thing about these earrings is you really don't need a lot of supplies, but I'll show you what I have. A pair of scissors, obviously. A pair of needle nose pliers. These are just a generic set I've had for years. Nothing special about them. You will also need jump rings, which are these silver hoops. Those usually come in a pack of about 20, and you can find those at many of the local craft stores. This would be a good time to add that. I'm going to have better pictures and a step-by-step tutorial on my blog, and you can find that at HotWheelsandGlueGuns.com. And at the bottom of the blog post, I'm going to link up an online resource where you can buy all this stuff if you prefer to shop online. So you're going to need, back to the supplies, we're going to need jump rings, earring backs. I like the hook kind like this. And just like the jump rings, those will come in a bag of maybe 20. And then the most fun supply is embroidery floss. Embroidery floss is thicker than sewing thread, but thinner than yarn. It usually comes actually like this. It's what you'll see it most commonly at different craft stores. People use it for embroidery and quilting and cross stitch, things like that. They come in hundreds of colors, and they're very inexpensive. This is a skein, and a skein like this usually costs 30 to 50 cents. I bought mine in a bigger skein, and this is a little bit different texture than that one. And this was probably $1.50. I bought the bigger one because I was going to be making several pairs of these earrings, and I really loved this orange color. So now that we've got our supplies all set, last supply, sorry. You're going to need a piece of sturdy paper or cardboard from a cereal box or a piece of an Amazon box. Pretty easy. The width of it should be the length you want the earring to end up at. The way that I figured it out is I held up a ruler or like a measuring tape to my ear in the mirror, just kind of eyeballed it. But you could also take a pair of earrings that you like the length of and measure those. Mine just happened to work out at about 3 inches. That was just a coincidence. So you're going to take your embroidery floss and find at the end. And I will say from past experience that embroidery thread can be kind of easy to tangle up. So while you're working with it, try not to overhandle it, or else you are going to end up with a hot mess on your hands. Trust me. All right, let's find the end here. There it is. So you're going to take it, put the end of it at one edge, and then wrap it. Okay, so now we've wrapped it through here. I wrapped mine about 30 times, and I'll tell you how I came up with that. You want the one side of the card to be about half the thickness of your final tassel. So the first time I did this, I really just kind of eyeballed it, and then when I thought it looked good, then I stopped. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I went back and counted, and it was about 30. Something else I want to point out is you want to be really careful not to, oh, sorry, there's my cat. You want to be really careful not to do it too tightly where the sides of the paper start bowing in, because that's going to affect the overall size of your tassel. So you want to make sure you keep it kind of loose so that your paper stays flat. You can see mine kind of turned up a little bit because I wasn't really paying attention. So just be careful about that. And then you're going to take another piece of embroidery floss and cut it about 20 inches. I already did that. Make sure that the two ends where you wrapped, the two cut ends, this one and this one, are facing down kind of the same way. Take your end, stick it underneath, and I double knot it just to make sure it's good and tight. You're going to want to keep that at the top, the loop that you just made. So just be cognizant of that while you're working with your tassel. Now we're going to pull the tassel off. Don't go too fast or else your wrap might come a little undone or get a little crazy. You don't want that. Pull it off like that. And like I said, keep this loop that you made earlier, that you just double knotted at the top. Now, the next part we're going to do is we're going to wrap the what I call the shank of the tassel. I'm not really sure what it's called, but that's what I call it. And it's this part of your tassel, this straight part right here. We take our smaller piece that we cut separately. This is going to look complicated, so we're going to do it twice, but I promise you could do this. It's not hard. You just might take some practice. Hold it in your left hand. Wrap this around. See how I'm doing that? Wrap it around maybe 10 times. I'm not sure how many times I did there, but I kind of like the size of that. So you want to make sure that you stay close to the top. Don't let it slide down here. Just wrap that around. Good and tight. All right. You're going to do one last loop to knot it and lock it into place. You're going to wrap it around again, but you're going to stick your finger inside the wrap. Take your end, put it through that loop, and when you pull it, it tightens it and locks it in. You don't need glue, you don't need to stitch it, nothing like that. So let me take it apart and I'll show you one more time. Rewind. Okay, so you've wrapped it 10-ish times, made it so it's a good sturdy shank, like that. Wrap it around, but you stick your finger in the loop, then take the end, pull it through that loop, that creates a knot. I know some of you are like, Michelle, that's really simple, easy, knot tying stuff, but some people don't know how to do that, so I prefer to assume you don't know and give you more instruction, and then you know, you can always fast forward through this part if you already know how to do that. Okay, so now it's done. Look at that. It's all set. Now, I did not do a perfect job in wrapping my shank. As you can see, you might be able to see, I don't know how much detail you're going to get, but this got a little loopy down here, so do better than I did. Okay, so now we are going to add the metal hardware onto the end of our tassel. For this, you're going to need 2 jump rings and your earring back. You're going to take your first jump ring, and if you've never worked with these, they're just metal circles with a little break in them. they're kind of soft and pliable, so you're going to want to be gentle. Don't pull them apart too much. Just pull it apart like that. I don't know if that's going to focus. Okay. Put your first jump ring, slide it through that loop that you made at the top of your tassel. Take your second jump ring and load it on there as well. Then take your first jump ring and close her up. Take your earring back, open that second jump ring, and there you go. That's what that end of that looks like. Last step is going to be trimming our tassel. Got a bunch of loops down here, so you're going to cut through those and then trim it. Sorry, I keep moving it. Trim it so that they're all the same length. Then use your fingers to get those to kind of stem. And there you go. Look at that. We finished one tassel earring. Look how good that looks. So easy, right? So here's a pair that I made for myself. In this pretty corally color. So if you have any questions, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to find me over at Facebook or Instagram. You can find me at HotWheelsandGlueGuns. You could also find, like I said earlier, pictures and a step-by-step tutorial on my blog at HotWheelsandGlueGuns.com/blog. You'll find a link to all the supplies, and you'll find other DIYs that I've posted on there for the past few years. This is the first video tutorial, so I would love to hear any comments or suggestions you might have to improve these in the future. I also would love to hear some ideas. What would you guys like me to talk about? What kinds of things would you like to share? And all of that. So thanks again for stopping by, and